How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, welcome back to LinkedIn. It's the beginning of the year and I wanted to do a wrap-up video of 2021, and I realized that I hardly did anything on any of my socials in 2021. I went into December of 2021 wanting to make a wrap-up video like I did the previous year and the year before that. 2019 is almost over. There's just a couple of days left for the year to finish, and see you guys in 2021. And I kind of realized that I hardly uploaded anything on my Instagram and my YouTube. Coming from 2020 where I uploaded a video almost every week, I kind of had to do a bit of reflecting and figure out, okay, what can I make a video about? And it felt like the perfect moment to talk about how I quit my job in 2021.
Labor Department reported this week a stunning number of Americans quit their jobs in the month of August.
The Great Resignation is a spike in the number of people voluntarily quitting their jobs.
Do you know people around the world are quitting their jobs? 41% of the world's working population is planning to switch this year.
Now, the Great Resignation has nothing to do with why I quit my job. The reasons for me quitting and the people who were part of the Great Resignation were completely different. In fact, to talk about my resignation, I have to go all the way to the start of 2020, essentially. This was even before COVID-19 was a thing. There's a ton of videos online about how people quit their jobs and the kind of path you take when you want to quit it, and also the emotions that come around the financial aspect of quitting a job. How are you going to pay your bills? And I was no different. When I decided that I was going to quit my job, I remember it like it was yesterday, because it's a first. It's like riding a bike for the first time, driving for the first time, going through your first breakups. Quitting a job for the first time is also a pretty significant milestone in your life, and it's a rite of passage that pretty much everybody in the professional space have to pass through. And immediately, within seconds of me deciding that I need to quit my job, there was a ton of anxiety, a ton of fear. And this is a job I spent almost 8 to 9 hours a day for 5 years of my life. And the financial contribution of something like that is pretty significant. Why I wanted to quit my job? Well, that's another video in itself, so I may make it down the line. But in a nutshell, the company's values were starting to misalign with my personal values. This is why I decided that I need to cut ties and I need to move on and just get the hell out. So I watched a ton of YouTube videos. I figured out, okay, I need to make sure I have a bit of savings. I need to make sure that I have a something else to fall on. And at the same time, it dawned on me that I do have this freelance video content creation thing that I've been maintaining for a couple of years now. And I decided, okay, I need to go hardcore on it. And when I did the math, I realized that the hourly rate that I get for being a manager is almost the same as me doing freelance work on my weekends. So the financial aspect of this whole switch didn't take too long to figure out. Let's talk about work-life balance and work-life separation. This is something that I do not agree with. I can't wrap my head around having a job where you just do for the sake of doing and just for the sake of paying your bills, and then you come home and have a completely separate life. For me, the idea of intertwining these two and making them go hand in hand is what appeals to me, which is why I spend a lot of time and a lot of years trying to make work fun for me and for everybody around me. Even if it's like mundane, repetitive things, it had to be enjoyable so that we can grow faster. We have an exponential growth within the team and within the organization. And because of my hyper involvement in work, I kind of started realizing that, okay, it's not only the financial burden that I have that's making it difficult for me to walk away, even though I have sorted it out. By the second half of 2020, I had given in my resignation 3 times to my boss and taken it back. And it was very difficult because there was a list of demands that I gave in how we treat people that kept getting fixed every time I threatened to resign. And I realized that there's something far greater than just the financial aspect, which was the identity crisis. I mean, as far as I can remember, vacations, breakups, going to watch movies that came out for the first time, weddings, all of these things I celebrated and spent time with this group of people simply because of my mentality around work-life separation and the work-life balance, which I did not agree on. And I gradually realized that my identity is also tied to this organization. Have I wasted my life? Have I given too much to the organization? These are the questions that started cropping up in my mind, and then I started realizing why people have such a bad attitude towards work, and why they strive really hard to strike up this work-life balance. Because when you go through bad experiences, or when you go through anxieties and fears that are not only tied to finances but also tied to like your identity and all these other emotions, it starts crippling you, and you start holding yourself back, and you start drawing these boundaries where, okay, the next job that I take, I'm going to make sure that I don't spend too much time on it, or I spend exactly the required amount of hours, so that I don't get hurt again, or I don't get burned, and I don't go through this identity crisis again. And as I was realizing this over the latter part of 2020, it became even more difficult for me to get over. And I remember all of these moments like it was yesterday, because this whole experience was a first. Just like you ride a bike for the first time you go through a breakup, the first time you drive your car. I mean, these are all things that get imprinted in your brain, and I remember it being a very hard pill to swallow. And it gave me a lot of context into why, employees join companies and are at the get-go very bitter and, strike up this wall within their personal life and their work life. So as 2020 started wrapping up, I started learning new skills like, 3D modeling, which also exposed me to like a new industry. I started meeting business owners, small businesses, large corporations that I was doing like the content creation work for, doing video work for. And I started realizing that, okay, the time that I've spent at this organization, experimenting and, like investing, it's not only just me giving. I've taken as much as I've given to this organization, like I've literally used this company as a playground to make mistakes. And as soon as I realized that I haven't like wasted my life at this company, but I've also, taken as much as I've given, things just started getting so much easier, and it started getting a lot clearer, and I was starting to be less attached. I was ready to just let go. And when 2021 started, which is last year, I was pretty much only working 4 to 5 hours a day at this organization, because I had delegated all my responsibilities and all my work to my team members, and bless their souls, they're so good at what they do. I literally had hardly any work. And in August of 2021, I decided that it's time. I had to like just quit. It's true what they say. It's like when stress leaves you, or when these things just leave you, it's like a massive weight off your shoulders, and you start breathing better, you start sleeping better. And that's what I want to kind of push through this video, to kind of give you guys, to kind of highlight the fact that it may seem like you're giving everything to the organization, and that you are spending a lot of time with the organization, but in reality what's happening is that you are taking just as much back, and I'm not just talking about salaries, I'm talking about the experience, the playground to make mistakes. The threshold that you have to make mistakes is higher at organizations, because they have a training period. These organizations give you roles and responsibilities with the margin of freedom for you to make mistakes, so that you'd make better choices. And once you remove yourself from this organization, you don't necessarily lose your identity. You become a stronger individual, as a human being. And that's the message I want to, try and, push out through this video for the year of 2022, to dive in headfirst into whatever work that you're doing, because you're spending a third of your day, you're spending 8 hours of your day at an organization. I think what you need to ask yourself is, what are your values? What are your principles? Are you spending time with the people that have the same values? And if not, start planning your exit, start working on how you can, break away. For me, it took 18 months to realize that I had an identity crisis. And for others, it's not the case. And I guess that's pretty much it. So comment below if you guys have had similar experiences with organizations, with your career. Share this video with anybody who's going through the same sort of issues, so that they can also be pointed in a direction as opposed to being lost. And yeah, that's it, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video, and